Hello friends. This video, you might notice, is pre-recorded instead of the lives that I have been doing. Going forward, or at least for now, that's my plan to pre-record these videos and upload them as a way to allow myself to honor my resources and my time a little bit better. Today I'm going to talk to you about some thoughts I had around boundaries and binaries. Personal boundaries, as defined by Wikipedia, is this. Personal boundaries are guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates to identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave towards them and how they will respond when someone passes those limits. And then soulshepherding.org had this helpful definition. Personal boundaries are what define your identity. They are like the property lines around a home. This is my property, and that is not my property. This is me, what I value, am good at, believe, need, or feel, and that is not me. To know yourself and be secure that you are loved is essential to all relationships and activities. The better your boundaries of self-awareness and definition are, the greater your capacity to offer empathy and love to others. Good boundaries help you to care for others because you have a stable foundation to operate from and are not distracted or depleted by personal insecurities or blind spots. That is why it's not selfish or unloving to have boundaries and take care of yourself. In the article posted on soulshepherding.org, he actually breaks down an outline of a lot of ways that Jesus himself set healthy boundaries, including scripture references for each occasion where that happened. So I'm going to have the link in the description below this YouTube video, and I hope that you will take some time to go check that out. I also want to bring in a definition of binary, though, so that you can kind of have a framework from which we're going to look at this today. A binary is something, this came from vocabulary.com. It is something that can be broken into two categories. Binary means something close to dual or double. You can remember what binary means if you know that bi means two. Black and white are often set up as a binary, as are light and dark, good and evil. Not all things, though, are binary. A thing can sometimes be good for you and sometimes not. Spending time with a person or group may sometimes be enjoyable and sometimes not. And often, I think it's a combination of both. Having boundaries or guidelines for ourselves can help us navigate. Let me give you some examples of how I've started to think about boundaries and binaries in my own life to clear this up a little bit. One coping mechanism I've noticed in myself is turning to social media instead of doing something that feels challenging. And sometimes that feels really good if I'm connecting with others and we're encouraging each other. Other times, I notice that I'm feeling drained or discouraged by what I see. Social media, for me, isn't binary. It's not always good, and it's not always bad. And thanks to a suggestion from my therapist, I have a self-honoring boundary in place. When I notice that I'm feeling discouraged, I have a guideline that I close those apps and open up my coloring app. It allows me to create something beautiful. It brings me joy. It lets me just tap into the creative side of myself. And it gives my brain the space it needs to re-energize so I can go back to the task that needs to be done. Here's another example. I have noticed that some weeks I do this kind of coping a lot. I notice that I'm letting things get pushed further and further back because they're uncomfortable. I'm getting better at not judging myself and just noticing patterns. Sometimes, instead of giving in to the urge to procrastinate, I set a timer for 25 minutes and focus on the task. You see, procrastination isn't binary either. It's not good. It's not bad. Procrastination is a protection mechanism. It's a way that our brains protect us from something that feels unsafe. So procrastination is actually informative. It lets me know that something about completing the task feels unsafe to my brain. I get to explore that. And sometimes I get to decide that what's on the other side is worth leaning into the resistance and getting it done anyway. Other times, I notice that I'm processing sadness or anger or just heaviness. And instead of pushing through, I do something that makes me feel good. I allow myself to enjoy that coloring app, or it could be allowing myself a good cry and a nap. It could be going outside to enjoy nature. It could be turning on some music and dancing and connecting with my body. There are definitely things in life, however, that are binaries. They require strict boundaries. For instance, if a small child walks onto a busy street, that would clearly be bad. A rigid boundary that they cannot leave the yard without an adult absolutely makes sense. But there are other things in life that aren't so cut and dry. And those are the times when boundaries can be a lot more flexible, a guideline that helps us honor ourselves so we can thrive. You know, you could be spending time with a group of people you usually enjoy, and you notice that you're just not feeling great about the way the conversation is going, or just something about the situation, or maybe you just had a hard day and you decide to leave the room or even remove yourself from the situation just to honor yourself. There's not a cut and dry, I will always spend time with these people or I will never spend time with these people. You get to honor yourself in the way that it feels for you in that moment. This is the part that might step on some toes, and that's okay. I'm going to set some boundaries to honor myself and choose my own thriving. Prentice Hemphill said this: boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. You see, I'm done expecting perfection from myself or things that I support. And if you're coming to a post of mine to respectfully comment on what you believe is misinformation or a limited point of view, I welcome you. And I also reserve the right to decide when a discussion doesn't feel good. I reserve the right to let you know if it doesn't feel good, or to block anyone who's commenting in a mean-spirited way. I can love you and still create distance in order to love myself also. Here are some things I stand for that you might not like. I'm going to read a bit from an introduction post I shared a while ago, and this centers around my name, Kelly Renee. Kelly means warrior, Renee means reborn. So I am a warrior. I am someone who believes that everyone should be able to thrive, even as I recognize that we currently live in a world that's not operating that way. I believe that women should thrive. I believe that Black, Indigenous, and all people of color should thrive. I believe that LGBTQIA plus people should thrive. I believe that every person who is disabled should thrive. I believe that the key to all of us getting past just surviving into thriving is working towards equity for all. I reject the binary thinking that tries to tell me that only those who fit someone's faulty definition of good or worthy are eligible. I am reborn. I am shedding the old me, the me that was taught that queerness was sinful, the me that believed that being racist was limited to extremists. I am accepting my part in the structural white supremacy that is baked into the very foundation of this country and carries through in visible and hidden ways. I am accepting the actions, even those that were unwittingly done in my past, that have caused harm. And I am standing today and saying I am fighting for a better tomorrow for everyone. I love Jesus with all my heart, and I see so much how his heart breaks for those we have oppressed in this country. I live on land stolen from Indigenous people. I live in a country that was built by the labor of stolen bodies. And I benefit from systems that intentionally oppress and marginalize others. I believe that my vote should look to my neighbors that have been most harmed, most oppressed, most marginalized, and I should love them enough to vote for the ways I believe will best support their opportunity to thrive. That means I reject Trump's policies and fear-mongering. I am intentionally using my space to share things that help make me aware of how others are hurting. And I hope that they will help you be more aware of how others are hurting too. And this is where I get to keep drawing the boundaries to love myself. If you don't like what I've stated, feel free to ignore or block what I post. This is especially true to white people who think there is only one way to see things. That's a binary. I can love you and wish you well from a distance that feels safe to me and those I love and want to care for. If you're coming with curiosity or the desire to respectfully dialogue about a different point of view, I welcome the opportunity to listen to others. And I also get to honor my own energy and my own thriving. So if I don't feel that the conversation is respectful, I absolutely will feel free to let you know or even block you. I have spent a lot of time caring for the feelings of others. And now I get to realize that my own feelings matter too. I honestly didn't plan for this to be where my message went today, but it feels appropriate. I'm not less important than others. And only I know what feels good to use my time, my energy, and my resources on. I am choosing to honor that going forward. I'm going to reread part of this quote from soulshepherding.org. To know yourself and be secure that you are loved is essential to all relationships and activities. The better your boundaries of self-awareness and self-definition are, the greater your capacity to offer empathy and love to others. Good boundaries help you to care for others because you have a stable foundation to operate from and are not distracted or depleted by personal insecurities or blind spots. That's why it's not selfish or unloving to have boundaries and take care of yourself. This is me honoring my boundaries in order to have a stable foundation to operate from so that I can have empathy and love for others. I hope you too honor the way you use your own time, your own energy, and your own resources in a way that feels good to you and allows you to have empathy and love for others. I hope you can see where binaries are helpful and where they cause harm. And I hope you can set boundaries for yourself and for others that honor yourself and just keep helping you offer empathy and love to others. That's all I have for you today. God bless, and I'll see you next time.